Welcome to Michelle's Podcast News, where we dive into the latest happenings in the podcasting community of companies, technologies, and partnerships. I'm your host, Michelle Tandler, and today we have some exciting news to share about one of the biggest names in sports and podcasting. Let's get started. Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce and his brother, ESPN National Football League analyst Jason Kelce, are reportedly seeking a deal in the $100 million range for their weekly podcast, New Heights. According to sources cited by Ann Steele of the Wall Street Journal, the Kelce brothers have been in discussions with Wondery to house their popular show. Podcasting is turning into an industry of megastars who command the most money and the biggest audiences. New Heights is currently the number 4 podcast in the United States. With nearly 100 million Americans aged 12 and older listening to podcasts every week, the potential for growth and significant revenue is immense. Edison Research reveals that podcast advertising revenue is projected to grow 12% to more than $2 billion this year and is expected to hit nearly $2.6 billion by 2026. Over the past year, big brands like BMW, DraftKings, and Home Depot have begun advertising, primarily on podcasts with the biggest audiences. Podcast distributors such as Spotify and Amazon are capitalizing on this dynamic. Some are experimenting with selling subscriptions for their top shows in hopes of persuading audiences to pay more to listen without ads, get early access, or enjoy exclusive bonus content. Others are making video versions of podcasts to expand their reach and engagement. The Kelce brothers' potential deal with Wondery is a testament to the growing influence and profitability of the podcasting industry. As more megastars enter the space, we can expect even more high-profile partnerships and innovative monetization strategies in the future. Politician and author Stacey Abrams is launching a weekly podcast with Crooked Media. The podcast, entitled Assembly Required with Stacey Abrams, will see the former Georgia gubernatorial candidate break down big issues facing the country, interview experts about solutions, and discuss ways for listeners to get involved. Asked why she decided to launch her own podcast, Abrams told The Hollywood Reporter that she wanted to take the lessons she learned from her time in the Georgia state legislature, when she would host town halls allowing constituents to ask questions on anything, ranging from tax exemptions to why it was hard to get trash picked up. What I found is that when people feel that they do not understand or that the problem is too big, they can be overwhelmed by just the sheer size of the issue. And I think a podcast is an entertaining and informative way to highlight these issues, to take topics, whether they are politics or policy, and allow people to ask questions and then break it down, talk about how it impacts our lives, and then help them better understand how they can create change, Abrams said. So a podcast is the medium in this moment that can reach people where they are when they're ready to hear, and I think it's the best way to have these conversations. Abrams has frequently collaborated with Crooked Media, appearing as a guest on Pod Save America and other shows, and working together to raise money for her organization, Fair Fight Action, which fights voter suppression. She plans to approach each episode through the format she said she uses throughout her life. So what's the problem? Why is it a problem? And then how do you solve it? At the end of each episode, Abrams will include a toolkit on how to find out more information and take action. The first episode will be released August 15th, meaning the podcast will enter directly into the political fray ahead of the presidential election. I can't imagine a better time, Abrams said. We are in the midst of big, meaty, terrifying issues that can feel overwhelming and can also feel defeating. My mission is for people to understand that, yeah, it feels too big, but we do not have to fix it all at once. We can work toward solutions. We can strategize, and we can pick the places where we enter. Not everyone has to go to the same part of the problem. Not everyone has to do the same thing. What I love to tell folks when I'm having conversations, especially in political moments like this, is that we feel like we've got to fix everything, everywhere, all at once. But the point of this podcast is to remind folks that we should each do something, somewhere, soon, she continued. The creator economy is set to double in the next 3 years, with 44% of advertisers planning to increase spending on creator-driven content in 2024. This explosive growth is driven by the performance benefits of aligning brand stories with the deep personal connections creators make with their followers. The most influential creators inspire genuine two-way connections, with audiences viewing them as friends sharing valuable information and advice. As the creator economy evolves, understanding the powerful role podcasters play in fostering intimacy and community with their followers is essential. In a recent webinar hosted by the Interactive Advertising Bureau, experts explored why 88% of podcast audiences describe their podcast time as meaningful. They discussed how brands and agencies can profit from the tidal shift, where 75% of podcast audiences consider podcasters more influential than social media or entertainment influencers. This attentiveness and feeling of closeness from podcast consumers make podcasters the most impactful creators today. The webinar emphasized the unique opportunity podcasting presents for advertisers and how podcast creators and marketers can optimize their partnerships for mutual success. Matt Chapeau, the director of digital audio and video at the Interactive Advertising Bureau Media Center, moderated the discussion. He highlighted the importance of understanding the personal connections between podcasters and their audiences. According to Chapeau, these connections are what make podcasting such a powerful medium for both creators and advertisers. The Interactive Advertising Bureau's research, in collaboration with TalkShop, found that the creator economy's growth is largely due to the authenticity and impact that creators bring to their content. This is particularly true for podcasters, who are seen as more trustworthy and relatable than other types of influencers. The webinar also featured insights from industry leaders who shared strategies for leveraging the unique strengths of podcasting. They discussed how brands can create more effective advertising campaigns by aligning with podcasters who resonate deeply with their target audiences. As the creator economy continues to evolve, the role of podcasting is becoming increasingly significant. The Interactive Advertising Bureau's findings underscore the importance of embracing this medium to build stronger, more authentic connections with audiences. For brands and marketers looking to stay ahead of the curve, understanding and investing in podcasting is no longer optional. It is essential. Samsung this month released the Galaxy Ring, the South Korean tech giant's first foray into smart rings. The $399 device has sensors that can track various health metrics like sleep quality, linking up with Samsung's smartphones and smartwatch. In the latest episode of CNBC Tech's Beyond the Valley podcast, Tom Chitty and Arjun Karpal are joined by Ben Wood, chief analyst at CCS Insight, to discuss how Samsung is positioning itself for the future with the Galaxy Ring and its other products. Samsung is hoping to lock users into its world of products held together with its suite of artificial intelligence features known as Galaxy AI. At the high-profile Samsung Galaxy Unpacked launch in Paris, France, the company emphasized that Galaxy AI is here, highlighting how the devices all link together. Analysts are not expecting the Galaxy Ring to sell in huge volumes, though they say the device could be important. The Galaxy Ring, along with the S24 series of smartphones, foldable devices, and smartwatches, represents Samsung's broader strategy to integrate health tracking features across its ecosystem, aiming to rival Apple's push into the space. During the podcast, Ben Wood explained that the Galaxy Ring is packed with sensors and boasts a battery life of up to 7 days. He noted that while smart rings are not new, Samsung's entry into this market could provide significant visibility for the category. Wood mentioned that companies like Aura have been in the smart ring market for years, with Aura launching its first ring 9 years ago. However, Samsung's massive consumer electronics presence and marketing push could bring smart rings into the mainstream. Wood also discussed the engineering challenges of creating a smart ring, such as miniaturizing the technology found in smartwatches into a smaller form factor. He emphasized the logical reasons for using a ring for health tracking, given its less intrusive nature compared to other wearables like smart glasses. One interesting point raised during the podcast was the concept of the worried well, referring to people who obsess over their health metrics. Wood cautioned that while tracking health metrics is generally positive, it is essential not to become overly fixated on the data. Samsung's Galaxy AI aims to link all its devices together, providing users with more powerful metrics and insights into their health. This approach could make the smartphone a personal coach, offering tips and advice based on the data collected by the Ring, watch, and phone. Wood highlighted the commercial driver for Samsung in creating an ecosystem of products. By integrating the Ring, watch, and phone, Samsung hopes to lock users into its ecosystem, similar to how Apple has done with its range of products. The podcast also discussed the societal implications of health tracking technology. Wood mentioned that predictive and preventative health could be game changers, with potential benefits for national health services and insurance companies. The complexities of purchasing a smart ring were also covered. Consumers need to get their fingers sized, and there are multiple ring sizes and colors to choose from. Despite these challenges, Wood believes that people interested in the technology will find a way to adopt it. The $399 price tag of the Galaxy Ring was another topic of discussion. While it is higher than Samsung's smartwatch, Wood explained that the cost reflects both the technology and the premium positioning of the product. Interestingly, Samsung is not charging an ongoing subscription for the Galaxy Ring's data services, unlike some competitors. This could be a differentiator that attracts more users to Samsung's ecosystem. In conclusion, the Galaxy Ring represents Samsung's latest effort to innovate in the health tech space. While it may not sell in massive volumes initially, its integration with Samsung's suite of products and Galaxy AI could make it an important part of the company's strategy moving forward. In local news, Fort Pierce native Juming Delmas is expanding his educational outreach through a new podcast called I'm Just Here to Listen. Delmas, who has a background in video production and marketing, aims to tackle a wide range of topics, including law, agriculture, and politics, with the hope of fostering individual growth and education. Delmas told the Tallahassee Democrat, "Our generation is slightly losing touch with knowledge. Things are being censored. But it seems that our generation continues to lose the importance of our history and what's going on in the world." His podcast is a step towards addressing these gaps in understanding and awareness. In May, Delmas began leasing a 132-square-foot office space in the Domi Station building, which doubles as his podcast studio. Located near Railroad Square, this space has allowed him to produce and host his podcast episodes, bringing his vision to life. Beyond podcasting, Delmas also visits detention centers to speak to the youth, inspired by his own rough upbringing. At 15, Delmas dropped out of school and became involved in street life. It wasn't until he saw the devastating effects of gun violence on his friends that he decided to turn his life around. "I'm definitely a walking testimony," Delmas told the Tallahassee Democrat. "It's not to say my way is the right way. It's to at least tell my story and share with them the trajectory that they can go on, create their own story, and turn their problems into power." Delmas moved to Tallahassee in 2016 for family reasons and has since used his platform to engage the community in meaningful discussions. He participated in Domi Station's incubator program, which helped him grow his audience and start profiting from his video production company, Juming Delmas Studios. Domi Station is a startup business incubator that provides educational content and resources for individuals looking to start or grow their businesses. Director of Community Engagement. Daisha Williams expressed excitement about the partnership with Juming Delmas Studios, hoping that its success will inspire other creative and podcast businesses to collaborate with Domi Station. Once granted office member status, Delmas was given his own space within the Domi Station building, where he had the creative freedom to develop his podcast set. The vibrant yellow, gray, and white decor, coupled with state-of-the-art audio and visual production equipment, brings a professional feel to each episode. The I'm Just Here to Listen podcast premiered at the end of May and has been growing rapidly. In less than 2 months, the podcast has gained 58 subscribers and approximately 450 video views on YouTube. Episode 3, featuring retired Florida A&M University professor and agricultural expert Charles Magee, has garnered the most attention with over 200 views. Delmas carefully selects his guests to ensure they are both entertaining and knowledgeable. So far, he has featured guests like Tallahassee-based family law attorney Jennifer Lavia and Freeman Jackson, a local artificial intelligence and machine learning specialist and founder of Fourth Industrial Systems. As his podcast continues to grow, Delmas hopes it will serve as a middleman for information and inspire people to crave knowledge again. You can watch I'm Just Here to Listen on YouTube at youtube.com/I'm Just Here to Listen podcast featured. That's all for today's episode of Michelle's Podcast News. Thanks for tuning in to hear about the latest in the podcasting community. I'm your host, Michelle Tandler. Until next time, keep listening and stay informed.